So Ravens flock, last night the NFL put out the official schedule for the 2025 regular season, and like every other team, the Ravens put out a promo video announcing the teams they're going to be playing. Every team, of course, likes to play around with this. I haven't gotten around to watching the other teams' promos videos. I'll probably do that another day, but obviously I did watch the Ravens promo video. I thought it was very entertaining. It was a reference to a TV show called Severance. It was pretty accurate. Like, it hit the nail on the head when it comes to hitting that same vibe. The score to the mini movie that they made had a very eerie and unsettling feel to it, which I thought fit perfectly. And so it was a dope video. It's definitely funny too, like the way they kind of flipped that whole like concept. But as far as the actual schedule is concerned, we now know the order in which we're going to be playing everybody. We're going to start in the preseason with the Colts, then the Cowboys, and then the Commanders. Now, of course, it's just a preseason, so it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, we all know John Harbaugh takes the preseason pretty seriously. He takes a lot of pride in the fact that the Ravens have dominated the preseason over the past 15 years, essentially. I believe last year was the first time we lost in the preseason, like literally since like I think 2012 or something like that. It's been a very long time. I'm assuming they're gonna try to get back on that winning streak. But like many of you, my main concern in the preseason is gonna be what rookies stand out, because of course that's the only people we're gonna see consistently. It's mostly rookies and players that are on the fringe, desperately fighting and clawing and nailing, trying to get on the roster. So I'm going to be interested to see that. As far as the regular season is concerned, we're going to start the season with the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. Then from there, we go to the Cleveland Browns. Then from there, we go to Monday Night Football, where we play the Detroit Lions in week 3. Then week 4, we play the Chiefs. Week 5, the Texans. Week 6, the Rams. Week 7, we have a bye week. Week 8, the Bears. Week 9, we're going to play a Thursday Night Football game against the Miami Dolphins. Week 10, we're going to be playing the Minnesota Vikings. Week 11, we're playing the Browns again. Week 12, we're going to play the New York Jets. Week 13, we're going to play the Cincinnati Bengals. Week 14, we're going to be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 15, we're going to be playing the Bengals again. Week 16, we're going to be playing the New England Patriots. Week 17, we're going to be playing the Packers. And then closing out the season, week 18, we're going to play the Steelers again. It feels like almost every year we're closing out versus the Steelers, but maybe that's just a coincidence, but I doubt it. But the last 2 games of the season, they haven't announced the day or the time yet. I'm assuming that's because they want to leave a little wiggle room. That way they could flex certain games depending on how the playoff seeding plays out and the playoff implications towards the end of the year for certain teams, because of course that makes more interesting TV to watch. Now, as far as our schedule is concerned, we play 4 primetime games. Those games are the Bills, the Detroit Lions, the Miami Dolphins, and then the Cincinnati Bengals. We also still have 2 nationally televised games, meaning games that are going to be aired at 4:25, one being with the Chiefs, and then the other one's going to be with the Cleveland Browns. And I still have confidence that we're going to dominate versus the NFC. Lamar, as long as Lamar is in the game, I'm assuming we're going to dominate the NFC teams. Like, his record is, I think it's 25-2 versus the NFC. I think that dominance will continue into next year. Even though we're going to have our work cut out for us this year. Like, this year, we're going to be playing the NFC North. And all of those teams are stacked, really, man. From the Packers to the Lions to the Vikings to the Bears. Like, the Bears are almost, I'm not gonna say they're stacked, they're still the Bears, but they're definitely a talented team with potential. So we still, of course, can't take any of them lightly. Within the division, I still think this should be a season where we come out on top of the division. We should go 5-1. That's what I'm predicting we're gonna do. That's what the whole point of this video is. It's just one set of early predictions. I think we're gonna go 5-1 in the division. I respect Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's going to be dangerous. Cleveland, I think, is flying under the radar right now. I know they're kind of getting all this buzz because of the Shador situation. And even if the Shador situation plays out, that can make them very dangerous. Even if they have a losing record, we already saw last year they were a losing team last year, and we still let a game slip out of our hands. So we need to take them as seriously as possible. The Steelers, I know the Steelers in recent years have gotten the better of us at times based on the situation, especially because they played us late in the year when either we got injured or we would rest our starters. But I think the tide has turned for that. I think the Steelers are headed in the wrong direction. They're going nowhere fast. I don't think they're a real threat at this point. I do think this is the first time in a while that we're going to sweep the Steelers. That's what I'm predicting this year. The biggest wild card on the schedule to me is the New York Jets, just because even though everybody views them as like a poverty team, they're a team that does have a lot of talent on it. Whether it's you look at guys like Garrett Wilson, they've made improvements to their offensive line, drafting Fashanu, and now this year they drafted Armand Menbu. Then on top of that, they picked up Mason Taylor, the tight end. Then on the defensive side, they still have Sauce Gardner. They still have Quinnen Williams. I believe they still have CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams as well. Like, they have pieces on that team. And if Justin Fields has like a Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith type of comeback season where he saves his career, they could be more dangerous than many people are projecting them to be. So I definitely want to keep an eye out for that. Another wild card team for me on this schedule is the New England Patriots. I don't know what we're gonna get with them. Like, that game could be much more challenging than we expect. Drake May is gonna be going into his second year. And also the New England Patriots, they spent a lot of money this offseason trying to improve their roster in so many different areas. Most notably, they paid Milton Williams like $27 million a year or something crazy like that. And then even in the case of Ronnie Stanley, if Ronnie didn't sign with the Ravens, there was so many reports coming out claiming that the Patriots were prepared to back up a Brinks truck for him to get him. I do believe that was I do believe those reports were actually based on real intel within the organization on what they wanted to do. But even though they didn't get Ronnie, he stayed with us, thankfully. They did draft Will Campbell. I think Will Campbell is gonna come right out the gate and be a very solid starter, maybe even a great starter. We'll see how that goes. I'm gonna be interested to see how that battle in the trenches goes between guys like Will Campbell compared to guys like Odafe Owe and Kyle Van Noy and now Mike Green. As far as games that I think are going to be the most entertaining, definitely Detroit. They have a very high-powered offense. It's going to probably give us a lot of trouble, but at the same time, I think that would be a very fun game to watch, very entertaining. Same thing with the Dolphins, even though I don't think the Dolphins are nearly as good as the Lions. There's still, as long as Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the team, there's still potential that they could be a very explosive team. I know both of those guys had like down years last year, but a big chunk of that was mostly because they, for whatever reason, the head coach Mike McDaniel, he was using Tyreek and to be more so like a decoy, and then they were just force feeding Jonnu Smith the ball nonstop, which is why Jonnu Smith had like a career year. But I think next year, assuming they even keep Tyreek Hill, I think they're gonna go back to just letting him cook. So we definitely gotta be prepared for that. I think the Rams game may be interesting as well. Puka Nacua is gonna be there. He's become one of the best receivers in football, and now he's gonna be paired with Devontae Adams, who, even though Devontae's older now, he is still playing at a high level. He's still one of the best route runners in football. So that could be a interesting game to see how things play out and to see if our secondary can handle guys like that. And the Packers are another team that I think will be fun to play against, depending on how their season goes, what happens with them. I think Jordan Love is a very good quarterback. I don't think he's great because he's just so inconsistent at times. Like, it's very boom or bust with him at times. But I think this Matthew Golden draft pick they got could change their offense massively. Somebody with that type of speed, combined with a guy like Jaden Reed opposite of him, as well as complementary pieces like Christian Watson, that could be a very dangerous offense. And they still got Josh Jacobs, who's came into his own in that offense. And then another wild card, but a game that I think could be fun, is the Minnesota Vikings. just because you're talking about Justin Jefferson. I still think he's the best receiver in football. You pair that with Jordan Addison, a really respectable number 2, arguably one of the best number 2 wide receivers in football. These are the type of games that I think are going to really challenge our secondary, and we're going to really see what Nate Wiggins is made of in year 2 of Nate Wiggins' career. We're going to see what TJ Tampa's made of if TJ gets a chance to get on the field. We're going to see if Marlon still got it. We're going to, and now that our Darius Washington's out, we're going to really see if Malachi's ready to step in and be one of those guys. Like, I think they will, and these are going to be great tests. And also, these are all teams that I think their defenses are decent, but I don't think they're, as of right now with my early prediction, I don't think their defenses are gonna be able to really stop Lamar and Derrick Henry and the rest of our offense as it is right now. Now we have a week 7 bye week, which gets on my nerves because I think I'm the only person that prefers late bye weeks, because it seems like nobody else has a problem with the bye week earlier than, and to me, I just really don't like early bye weeks. And I'm not saying week 7 is super early, but it's still earlier than I would like. Like, I would prefer my bye week between like the 9th and 12th week, just because I want as much time as possible to be able to get as much information. Well, I want the team to have as much information as possible so they can figure out what's going wrong with the team, how teams are playing them, what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, so they could just have a very good sample size to figure out what may need to be fixed or what they need to double down on. If you have a bye week too early in the year, there's really not a whole lot you can do when it comes to making adjustments and figuring out what needs to be fixed or what you need to double down on, because the season just started. So, but at the same time, a week 7 bye isn't that early. We still get 6 games before that, so hopefully it's not too big of a deal. As far as my early record prediction, I'm going 14-3. I look at this schedule, I see a bunch of W's. Like, we all know at this point, the question is not the regular season. The question is, can we get to January and stop shooting ourselves in the foot? Can our offense, whether it's Lamar or Mark Andrews or Zay Flowers, can everybody, or Tyler Linderbaum with the botch snap, can everybody stop shooting themselves in the foot on offense? Can our coaching staff, specifically John Harbaugh, stop making these weird decisions where they're basically trying to outsmart themselves, like calling that play on the goal line where they had a trick play designed to throw Ronnie Stanley a 2-yard pass for whatever reason? Can the defense actually create turnovers? Like, I've showed this chart many times. I'm going to put it on the screen now. The chart where our defense in the past 7 years has only produced 3 turnovers in the playoffs. Whereas you look around at these other playoff teams, they produce 8, 7, 8, 9 times more turnovers than our defense does. And that's just unacceptable, especially when you look at all these other teams. They're contenders too, and their defenses have stepped up way more than our defense has. So to me, the question is not the regular season. It's always going to come down at this point to, hey, can we get to January and stop shooting ourselves in the foot? But let me know your early predictions. Do you believe the Ravens will have another successful regular season, or do you think that there's a team or a couple teams that could make things a little harder for us?